Bonjour à tous, dans cette vidéo, je vais partager les plus grandes erreurs que les étudiants font sur l'examen d'écriture, papier 2, de français B de BI. Let's take a look at the biggest errors that students are making on the paper 2 writing exam for IB French B SL. J'ai vu ça beaucoup quand je pratique avec les étudiants qu'ils font ces erreurs et donc maintenant je veux expliquer pourquoi ils font ces erreurs et comment on peut trouver des solutions pour les éviter. Let's get into it. First and foremost, the biggest mistake I see kids making in their writing is not having noun and adjective agreements. What this means is that adjectives used to describe a noun must agree with the gender and number of the noun. That means if the noun is feminine, typically you add an E. If the nouns are plural, you have to add an S or some sort of indication of plurality. A lot of kids will mess this up and the adjectives won't agree with the noun. You will lose marks on this. It's a very, very basic grammatical concept of French, but you have to remember it. C'est tellement important. Les étudiants l'oublient toujours quand ils écrivent. Je sais pas pourquoi, mais c'est une chose très commune que je vois. It's a very common thing that I see. It's going to mess up your mark. You want to get a 7, you have to nail this. Adjective and noun agreements. Deuxièmement, secondly, modal verbs with infinitives without a preposition. What this means is when you use a modal verb like devoir or pouvoir or vouloir, the following verb that you conjugate afterwards has to be an infinitive, unconjugated. For example, if I say like, I want to get, je veux obtenir. Notice how I say obtenir after, je veux obtenir. The obtenir is infinitive, unconjugated. I see time and time again, a lot of kids will write, je veux obtienne. That's incorrect. You're not going to conjugate the verb that follows the modal verb. It has to be infinitive. Ça, c'est une grande erreur que je vois toujours. It's a big error that I see all the time. And that's going to affect your mark as well. You have to stay on top of these grammatical concepts. So that's another one. Number 3, numéro 3. This isn't exactly a mistake per se, but it's definitely going to hold you back and limit the level you can get. If you want to score a 7, you have to have verb tense variety. What this means is you have to be using a lot of different verb tenses within your writing excerpt so that you're showing a strong understanding of the language. Don't just rely on present tense and passé composé. We have to see a variety like conditionnel, conditionnel passé, futur simple, plus que parfait, imparfait, les temps de verbe comme ça. You want to use a good variety of verb tenses. The way to do this is you can use like C phrases, for example, because they allow you to fit a lot of verb tenses into one sentence. So you can say like, if I had done this, this would have happened. Like, si j'ai fait ça, ça passerait peut-être. So I'm using imparfait and conditionnel there in that sentence. And likewise, I could use like plus que parfait and conditionnel passé. Doing sentences like this, these if statements, these C phrases, will help you demonstrate a good variety of verb tenses. And that's just going to show a high level of understanding. That's exactly what you want. So don't miss out on the variety, basically. You want to include a good variety of verb tenses. That's a must. And if you're lacking that, it's going to affect your level. Lastly, number 4, Numericature. You're lacking expressiveness and vocabulary. That's a huge one. You need to have a strong level of expressions and vocabulary. Comme les tournures logiques, these are like linking words like cependant, aussitôt que, malgré, bien que. Les expressions et les mots comme ça, like words and expressions like those, you need to have those to show again a high level of understanding. That's all it's about. Regardless of the type of text or the prompt that you get within the writing, you need to avoid simple errors and demonstrate a high level of language understanding. And so in addition to the vocabulary, you also have to use idiomatic expressions. Les expressions idiomatiques, comme, par exemple, donner un coup de pouce, which means to give a helping hand, or mettre le paquet, which means to go all in, to go hard at something. You want to use idiomatic expressions because, again, they show that you have a strong understanding of the language to the degree where you understand the nuance of the language and certain idioms that can be used in French. I have a list to that all down below. But just to go over everything again, biggest mistakes on paper 2. Firstly, not having agreements for nouns and adjectives. Make sure you're staying on top of that. So your adjective has to agree with the noun it's describing with gender and number. Deuxième, secondly, modal verbs followed by infinitives, always make sure that when you're using a modal verb like falloir or devoir, pouvoir, vouloir, the verb that follows it is unconjugated. So it's infinitive unconjugated. Make sure you stay on top of that. Thirdly, lacking verb tense variety. You have to demonstrate a high level of understanding using a good variety of verb tenses like conditionnel, conditionnel passé, imparfait, futur simple. All of these ones are very beneficial. And lastly, you're lacking vocabulary and expressiveness. Use idioms, use good linking words, and demonstrate that high level of understanding. That's what it's all about. Et si tu fais ça, tu vas réussir. If you do this, you will succeed. Let's shoot for 7s. I hope everyone watching this gets a 7 in IB French. It's very doable. Just avoid these errors and make sure you're following the checklist. Link below to all the resources I mentioned. Check out my website if you need tutoring in French. Bonne chance et bonsoir.